Welcome to the Wellness and Growth Journeys podcast. I am your host, Mia Lisa Garnes, founder of the Wellness Growth Agency, where we focus on empowering women centered health and wellness businesses. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with Daniela Deyoub Forrest. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, I go by Dee Forrest these days because it is a bit of a mouthful, isn't
I
it?
do like Dee. I do like Dee. And then I think that source laboratory. um, so Dee, you are a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, which that in itself is also a mouthful. So we're gonna get into
Is a mouthful. I'm like it's like a fancy health coach. It's, the difference is I have access to all types of lab testing to help my clients, really get to the root issue of what is ailing them and why they don't feel the best version of themselves.
yes, and I like that. I like that. So I like the functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and the founder of DFit Life. That is your business. Now, Daniela brings a wealth of experience from overcoming personal health challenges herself to helping others on their wellness journeys. And today she's going to share her story and share how she supports women in reclaiming their health and what it means to truly own your wellness. I love that. Own your wellness. Let's own it.
Let's own it. Yeah, it's not anybody else's problem, it's ours. We gotta be on top of it.
It's true. It's true. Is that where you came up with that? I guess kind of tagline or
Yeah, I think I've worked one-on-one with clients in the Bay Area for over 20 years. And it's funny, like the more high level these people are as far as their careers go, the more they want me to just tell them what to do.
listen. And you know what I think that is? I think it's because you make so many decisions um during the day, maybe even during the hour, right? So like you just want somebody like tell me what to do.
Right. The decision fatigue is real. It is real. But the problem is I'm happy to give them guidance on what to do, but it's my job. But I'm not with them at 2 in the morning when they're having cravings for something. I'm not on vacation with them when, I'm not out to dinner with them. So they need to figure out how to make these choices for themselves over the long term.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, I
And
get that.
that's where
So
I came up with that.
right. So then you then I will hope then help them to make, these changes so then they can make better decisions, I guess, for overall wellness. Um, okay. So Didi, you've been through many life changes and challenges, right? From overcoming an eating disorder, we need to tell us about that, to managing osteoporosis and rehabilitation from major injuries. That sounds like so much for one person to go through.
Oh, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, the reality is I'm a real person, and I have real problems. And part of my health coaching success is working through and doing research in my own issues. Right. So, yes, I was born in the 70s, raised in the 80s and 90s. And for those of your listeners who are old enough to remember that time, it was all about being thin. Thin was
Yes.
in
Yes.
to the
Yes.
max.
That's true.
And
Yes.
I was very good at that. So I did a lot of
Mm.
self-starvation, a lot of self-hatred involved there, a lot of hours and hours on a Stairmaster or running through
Yeah.
the hills.
Yeah.
And I just depleted everything, you know. I gave myself osteoporosis unknowingly.
So how do you give yourself osteoporosis? You mean by just starving
Like
yourself
full-blown
from?
osteoporosis, like bones of an 80-year-old in my 20s.
Oh wow. And
Yes.
that's from what?
Yes.
Starving yourself from?
Absolutely. So it's
Oh.
malnutrition,
Mhm.
So when you're eating a fat-free diet, and I go into great detail in my book about this, when you're eating a low-fat diet or fat-free diet,
Mhm.
you are not going to assimilate all the fat-soluble vitamins and minerals that are critical to your bone health, among other things.
Right.
So, when my family switched over to fat-free milk, when when I thought that a vegetarian diet was healthier for me. All of these things that were sadly just flat out wrong that we
Right.
did in the
Right.
80s and 90s. And I adhered to a T, led me down this path of first of all, never optimizing my bone density,
Hmm.
and then quickly losing it.
But who studies
And
this? But no one really thinks about this when
it
they're
sucks. It's
younger, right?
horrible. And you know what? I'll tell you what's worse. What's worse than that is I found out when I was about 28 years old. I
Hmm.
was on a snowboarding trip with my then boyfriend, and I had a very minor fall, just a minor fall. And I
Right.
completely shattered my distal tibia. So that's the fall, the near your ankle.
Right.
Shattered it like glass from
Wow.
this very minor fall.
From minus, and that's when you first found out then.
And then I ended up getting a DEXA scan to see what my bones were doing. I had overt osteoporosis, like my grandmother would have had at the same, in her
Right. And
80s.
how old were you at this point?
28 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And you know what advice I got? You should take a calcium pill and eat more dairy and exercise some more. And let me explain something to you. I was doing all of those things, and none of
Ready.
those things were helpful, right?
Right.
The last thing you want to tell is a little anorexic woman that you should do more exercise.
It's true.
You know what I'm
True.
saying?
That's true.
So,
Unless they were telling you that you need to build up like your muscle or something like that.
but they didn't say that. They did just exercise, right? Now, that led me on a quest for
Right.
the last 20 years to try to figure out what can I do to lay down more bone. And you know what?
Mhm.
I've done it. My bones are healthier now than they were 20 years ago. Now, I still have to fight against osteoporosis probably for the rest of my life. But what did I change? I got rid of a vegetarian diet.
Mhm.
I started lifting as heavy as I possibly could.
Right.
I increased my protein, my
Mhm.
animal protein,
Mhm.
true absorbable protein, to 1 gram per pound of body weight,
Right.
sometimes more. And now that I'm in perimenopause, my doctor is helping me with hormone replacement therapy, including
Yes.
testosterone, not just estrogen. Right?
Yes. Yes. I've been hearing about that for the last couple of weeks now.
It makes such a difference for women. I mean, when I have a woman coming to me who's already on hormone replacement, right? They're already on the estrogen patch and they already are taking their progesterone at night, and they're still like they're anxious all the time, they're worried all the time, they can't put down muscle mass, their joints are still achy, they're always injured, they're always sick. We get a doctor to cooperate with us and get them on testosterone. It's life changing. It is life changing.
That sounds so good to hear. I think really that there's a solution.
Well, and now keep in mind, I'm not a doctor, right? So please don't take this as medical advice by any stretch of the imagination. But at the very least, have a conversation with a practitioner who's willing to explore these options. And it's still not in the dogma that, that it's okay. I mean, we're just learning that the Women's Health Initiative from 20 years ago, 25 years ago is BS. We're just learning this. My mother's generation was denied hormone replacement, denied the ability to thrive in late age, because they were told that hormone replacement was going to give them cancer. It was going to give them heart disease. And you know what? They were wrong. They've been wrong the whole time. And it's very frustrating. But now, slowly, more and more practitioners are starting to learn that we can help women thrive once they reach their 40s and 50s and older if we start as early as possible.
And we talk about doctors too, who have been in the field for years, like women's health, right? And I think one comes to mind, Mary Clear, who's she's a doctor just specializing in menopause, so everything and anything menopause and women's health around that. So she posts constantly on her IG specifically, like research and any research that comes out and what that means, that kind of thing. So it seems that, those who have an interest in it, and I'm glad that it's a woman. I'm just going to say that flat out.
Yeah. And it's, the reality is more than 50% of the population worldwide is women, right?
Yeah.
And 100% of us who are born with ovaries will go through menopause. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. It's about time we start talking about this stuff.
Yeah. Whether you have kids or not, it's gonna happen, right?
Right.
So yeah. We need something, and as I have said previously in some of my other episodes, like menopause for me, when I heard about it when I was younger, was almost like a death sentence for women. It was seen that way, right? Like it is just like this really depressing negative phase that women go through in life, and to like beware, like don't go close to them like there's some sort of raged animal who's gonna snap at you any minute.
Well, that might
um
happen. That might
because
happen.
they're going through it, right? um
Right. And it's intense, you know?
yeah, it just always was packaged like the worst time in a woman's life. So now that I'm having these conversations, especially with women who are going through menopause or even after postmenopausal, you know, I hear this say stuff like they're having the best time they ever have in their life. Like,
It's a different game. It's a totally different game. And, a couple things. One, I know that, you're a little younger than I am and you're in a different stage of things, but the symptoms of perimenopause can start in your 30s.
yeah, I'm 40, right? And I definitely,
And you don't even realize like, oh, my shoulder's been bugging me a lot. That's perimenopause.
yeah,
Oh, my periods are a little bit more erratic. My PMS is a lot worse than I used to be. Perimenopause.
yes, yes,
I'm getting headaches. I never used to get headaches. Perimenopause.
yes, yes.
My hair
And we're
is getting
talking about
thinner.
stuff
Like
like,
like all of these things, and
yes,
then I'm
being
starting to figure
tired,
out like I've
being
dry
stressed.
eye issues. I never dealt with my entire life. Now it's like
Same, same.
perimenopause, right? It's all of these things, So getting in front of it, understanding it, doing some reading, up until the last year or so, I've always focused more on general health. I've always worked with people in middle age, men and women, and I still work with
Hmm.
men too. But the more I get in on this, I realize the research is all there for men. Just so you know,
Yes,
like all the research is there. Okay.
yes,
We have all the data, we've got all the drugs,
yes.
but not for women.
No.
And the support and the lifestyle modifications. And the further along I go, the more it's just, I've become so much more passionate about it because we've
Yeah,
been neglected for so long. Younger women are ignored in medical research because our hormones are so variable throughout the month, right? From
yeah,
person to person, from
yes,
morning to night, throughout the month. So variable that it makes it very hard to do studies, right? So
yes.
instead of spending the extra money to make it work, they just treat us like small men.
I was speaking to a guy who he's studying ADHD, and he was saying that, and he's doing like his not his master's, his let's see, PhD. He's doing his PhD. So in the research, and he's doing it, I think, to for women, and he's saying that the research that he's coming up in with was all for men, right? And then they just pretty much made it for women. So men is the example, the drugs, the treatments, all of that.
I mean, it's as simple as just the way we react to ibuprofen is different than it is for men. I mean, it runs the gamut. And luckily now there's these amazing researchers like this man you're describing, Dr. Vonda Wright, Dr. Stacy Sims, Dr. Carrie Jones, that are just leading the charge on finally getting this information out there to many, many more people.
Yes, and I'm so happy about that. I'm so happy about that because health and wellness became like a niche that I became passionate about. But now that I'm having so many conversations and meeting people, like the real issues of what women are tackling, are coming to the forefront, and it just baffles me how we didn't have this before. Like, it's no, no, there's a menopause specialist that we could go to, and there was none before.
And even as this research is coming out, kind of going back to what I do with my clients, right? Without a prescription, there's so much we can do today to start feeling better, to start getting the best possible result from our efforts. And I find that a lot of women in our age group and a little bit older are spinning their wheels. They're like, well, I'm gaining these extra weight. I have less energy. I'm going to work out harder. I'm going to do more cardio. I'm going to eat less. I'm going, all of these things that might have worked in our 20s.
I was gonna say we're accustomed to doing that because that worked before.
Yeah. Don't do the same thing, but worse, like harder.
Yeah, I did like the workout programs, the hit, just ate like the salad and the fish and try not to eat as often and not eat any junk food. And the weight just shed, I think maybe like 3 months tops, and I was at my like ideal weight. But yeah, it doesn't work now.
No, and it will continue to not work, and so you have to find new strategies, and trying to get women to eat a complete meal a few times a day, have enough protein, get to bed at a decent hour, turn the television off, their phone off, go outside in the morning and get some morning light in your eyes to help reset your circadian rhythm. Go out with friends, have fun, laugh. Like these simple things, they sound so airy fairy, but I swear to God, they make such a huge difference in our quality of life.
It sounds good. I think we get too bogged down with life in general, and I don't mean like the nice things. I mean like work and you have to deal with the household and that kind of thing. And so those two things completely just engulf our daily activities. That some women listening might be like, I hear you, but I don't have time for this, right? So
We don't have time to be sick. We don't have time to be miserable. And let me tell you, once those symptoms start kicking in, once the hot flashes are out of control, the weight starts showing up on your belly where it's never been there before, your hair starts thinning, your foggy thinking is slowing you down at work and you can't get things accomplished. Nobody has time for all this stuff.
no, because you're not living efficiently until your best and optimum level. And I think the moment that I realized, I was like, but I was able to like be so quick with certain things, and now I feel like certain things just take forever. And not feel, I realized that it does. And it makes me feel slow and old and like not good.
Not your best. Not your best. And that's, like not only do I want women to feel better than they do, I want them to feel like the best they've ever felt in their lives, which is actually even more, I would argue it's more attainable as we get older. Our children are a little bit older, our businesses are more established, like you have better resources. At 47, I'm almost 48 years old. I feel the best, truly, of my whole life. And I'm nicer to myself than I've ever been. I actually look in the mirror and I say nice things to myself as opposed to my 20s when I used to berate myself, you know? And yeah, no, there's no reason to settle for anything less.
Yeah. I do wish that, I know that you said that, I do wish that I could go back and talk to my younger self and tell her to stop being so hard on herself, and be a little bit more accepting. Tell us a little bit about the book on your wellness.
Sure. So, like I said, I've worked with one-on-one clients for decades, and I love what I do. I love being able to hold people's hands and to be there for them throughout the process. But not everybody can afford that. Not everybody has access to me, and I wanted to find a way to empower people
Right.
to build their own wellness plan. And it took me a while, but I started thinking about what are the commonalities that we're all struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we all have unique challenges, but there's always some sort of through line that we can all, come back to. So
Yeah.
I started by just, okay, first of all, let's talk about what are your goals? Let's be very clear with the goal.
Yeah.
And I was listening to your last podcast, and the doctor was talking about, or the health coach was talking about finding your why.
Mm-hmm.
How critical this is. I mean, a critical piece of this puzzle, because when the days get hard, when you don't want to strap on your sneakers, when you don't want to eat the healthier dinner, what is going to keep you on track? Or when you fall
Yeah.
off track, what's going to help you get back? If
Yeah.
you don't know why you want to reach that goal, like it's one thing to say, hey, I want to get into, these size 4 jeans or whatever. Fine.
Yeah.
But will losing that weight give you more energy to be present with your children? Will losing that weight help you get rid of your diabetes diagnosis?
Yeah.
Will losing that weight give you the clarity and the energy and the ability to put yourself out there to help build your business further?
Right.
What will losing that weight give you that you don't currently have right now?
Yeah.
And after we figure out that why, I really encourage people, this is going to sound a little airy fairy, but before we start digging into, nutrition and movement and all these things, what does that feel like in your soul? If you looked in the mirror and you saw, after you've accomplished that goal, who you are, what does that feel like in your body? That can be a very powerful reminder when the days get hard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I start lining up for them. Okay, here's some things to know about how to nourish yourself. And about every 5 or 6 pages, I stop talking, and you can start filling out questionnaires about how what you just learned might apply to your own life.
Right.
And we do that for nourishment. We do that for movement. I do that for considering different types of testing and data tracking. Like, do you need to care how many steps you walk in a day? Do we need to do a stool test to check what's happening at your gut? Do we need to look at your hormones, etc.?
Do we need a
And
scale to
then,
weigh food? Do we need that?
right, do you need any of these things? It depends on what your goal is, and does it
Right.
support your goal, right?
Yeah.
And then the last bit I talk about is the chapter is called Enhance, where we talk about potential supplementation that you
Mm-hmm.
might consider, which really needs to be like the icing on the cake of your wellness journey,
Yes,
right?
and not debate. Yes, I know that. Yes.
And then at the end of the book, you go back to all of these charts and graphs you've filled out, and you put together your own cohesive wellness plan.
Right.
And then I kind of teach you how to know when it's not working anymore and you have to go back and tweak a few things. So I really wanted it to be sort of a choose your own adventure, a blueprint for what the heck should I do now?
Yeah.
And how do I get to where I'm trying to go?
Yes. Yeah. And well, a couple of things. First thing, thank you for listening to the podcast episodes. I appreciate you. I think that was Dr. Simone.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm not sure what order of things are here, but I was like, I heard her say, and you have to figure out why. And I went, yes, because it's such an important piece of this puzzle.
Yes, yes. And I do like, that you do have resources for people who can't afford a one-on-one, so that they could, start making some changes in your life, right? And I do like that. You have to have your light. Um, because if not, like, you don't even know how to take the first step, really.
You're so right. And I honestly think that that is the biggest challenge for most everybody. In fact, I have a little section in the Move chapter called The First Mile. And it's not just the first mile, but it's the first bit of everything you're doing. Just getting started.
Yes.
That first
Seems to
step,
be the hardest part.
it's the barrier to entry. And I don't know. I know a lot of high end athletes. I know a lot of high achieving human beings. And for each and every one of us, it's that first bit that's the hardest bit. Like even if it's like, oh, I need to start meditating, it's just sitting down to meditate for 30 seconds. You get past 30 seconds, you can do the rest of your session, right? But like just sit down and do it. You go out for a run, it's the first mile is always the hardest one. If you can get past a mile, you might do 10. Who knows? I mean, everything is like this. What is that first thing that you're going to do? And I also think they have a tendency to like do this all or nothing. Like, oh, I'm going to do all the things, right? Okay, I'm going to start a new workout. I'm going to start a new diet. I'm going to go to this new doctor and I'm going to do these testing and I'm going to try all these new supplements.
Give it a week.
And then they're just overwhelmed. They don't know what's working, what's not working, and then they give it up.
Yep, I give it a week. I give it a week for all of those things to happen at the same time, and you be consistent with that.
So I help people sort of figure out where to start and give it some time before you layer in the next thing. because that way you can make some really smart course corrections. We have to be very scientific with this path that we're choosing, you know. Yeah, I love that book. I love that book. And it really just takes that one thing. And when you find that one thing that kind of gets you going, then it motivates you to go to the next step, you know?
Right, right. And I do like some people's interpretation from what they take from the book. I was listening to a guy. He was saying that in terms of working out, he would make sure he put his clothes out on the bed and the shoes next to the bed, so that when he gets up, right, it's like a trigger. Yeah. Somebody else would say, well, they would have like, yeah, the yoga mat and the weights already there. So like all you gotta do is hop in your clothes and get going.
It can be as simple, as just putting it on your calendar, you know? I can't tell you how many clients I've finally been able to get some regular exercise in simply by having their assistant or whomever put it into their work calendar so that nothing gets booked on top of it and it's already part of the day, you know? It's a simple solution, but it's so effective.
And well, kudos for them too for making it important, because it's all right to put it in a calendar, but then you see it, you might, oh, but I really want to have this meeting or whatever it is that we always kind of put above ourselves.
It needs to be unmovable. Yes.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about the functional side or approach
Sure.
of what you do as opposed to the conventional treatments.
Yeah. Well, you know, I I have partnered with many doctors over the years, and I continue to do so because they can be very, very helpful. But there's there's some testing that I think is still not part of the standard of care. We'll put it that way. Um, and it's really important information for a lot of people who, my typical client is already doing all the right things, like they're already eating well, they're already prioritizing sleep, they're already, working out with a trainer, well, all these things. But they still have these nagging issues that they don't feel well, right? So they go to the doctor, they get a standard blood panel, and oh, you're fine. Everything's normal.
Bye. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, normal is not good enough. Okay. I don't want to be normal. I want to be great. Right. Secondly, let's talk about like when you have all these symptoms, right? Like maybe you got chronic digestive issues, you've got some eczema, you got the foggy thinking. Well, yes, it could be a gut issue. Could also be related to some hormone dysregulation. Um, it could be some food sensitivities that you're dealing with, right?
Hmm.
It could be that you've got some genetic SNPs that aren't allowing you to have the best cellular function, right? Like maybe you can't even create energy very well,
Right.
so
Right.
I like to run a whole panel of different things, so we do a stool test to look at your gut health, we do a urine test to look at how you're utilizing hormones, not just what is the blood work tell you in 1 minute. I like to do an organic acids test, which tells me what's happening at the cellular level. And I like to do a food sensitivity screening too, to see how, and again, this is not just like allergies. This is
Right.
how is your immune system reacting to the foods that you're eating? Okay. So once we take a look at all those things, I have never in my life worked with a client who didn't have major actionable things that come out of those tests.
Wow.
And when I say actionable, I mean like, hey, guess what? We need to get you to stop eating dairy because you're clearly highly reactive to it. Oh, all of a
Hmm.
sudden my sinuses feel better. Huh, that was interesting. Like, I mean, it's usually simple solutions,
Right.
but it does require some digging.
Yes.
And it's just remarkable what we find.
And you wouldn't know, or you wouldn't guess, right?
Right. Why would you like you can't just guess. Like you can listen to all the podcasts you want to, you can read all the books you want to. If you don't have tangible information, that correlates with how you feel. Now, on the other side of that equation, if I get a stool test back from somebody and it shows that they have, all of these, gut bugs that are awry, but they don't have any digestive issues, they don't have any foggy thinking, they don't have anything else going on, I'm not going to go crazy and give them an eradication treatment, to try to get rid of these gut bugs, because they're okay. Like, I'm not treating symptoms. I'm helping people feel their best based on the information we have and how you feel.
I like that. And facts.
Facts. Yeah, it turns out they're real. They're things we can use. Yeah, it's good.
So many women in their 30s and 40s, like we said, do experience hormonal imbalances, right? Stress and burnout. We realizing that that seems to be the common thing for women now in 30s and 40s. So what are some of the common issues you see in your clients, and how do you support them in finding balance and vitality?
Sure. To that point, you're talking about, women as we get older, we just, the stress is it just overwhelms us. Well, I'll tell you why. This is actually very simple. As we get older, the the sex hormones that our ovaries have been pumping out for so long,
Mm-hmm.
they start to dwindle. And our ovaries, once they're done, they say, okay, I'm game over. I'm not doing anything anymore. Adrenal glands, it's all your game now. So when women are in menopause, all the estrogen, all the testosterone, all the cortisol, all the stuff has to come out of the adrenal glands.
Okay. Okay.
And then you throw chronic stress on top of that. You throw malnourishment on top of that because they're not getting enough minerals, enough protein. You throw lack of sleep on top of that, and it is game over, right? They have no chance. Right? We can get away with more stress when we're younger
Yeah.
because we have multiple organs pumping out all of these wonderful hormones that we
That
need.
we need.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it does get harder as we get older. And that bombardment over time is just too much, And so I find that women, when I look at a Dutch test, which helps me not only look at what their sex hormones are doing, but also their adrenal glands, I find that there's one of two situations. Either they have an inability to create enough cortisol to manage their stress all day. They just, adrenal glands just gave up, or they're hyper producing cortisol, like so much, they're like this all the time, that their body actually utilizes an enzyme that inactivates cortisol, turns it into cortisone, which is an anti-inflammatory, because the body's like, hey, pump the brakes, lady. I can't do this anymore. Like, we're tired. You need to just stop. Right. So it's usually one or the other. Nobody's in the middle, it's like, just, yeah, it's interesting to see.
Uh, I well, thank you for that explanation. That really does explain a lot. Now that you say it, because we could. I remember remarking the fact that I would probably be okay on like maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep when I was younger, and I would function the same way. I mean, in fact, I used to go party that kind of stuff till like wee hours in the morning, and then just like get up and go, work or school the next day. Like it was just like, and it was fine. I wasn't yawning and tired by midday. You know what I mean? And no, I'm getting 7 to 8 hours and I'm waking up still feeling tired, right?
Yeah. And so, you tell me that. And then, so now we want to look at your quality of your sleep. So yeah, it's one thing to get 7 or 8 hours of sleep, but if you're not waking up going, oh, that was good, then we need to work on the quality of your sleep.
And I
So,
feel like it's been like that for maybe, I want to say 4 or 5 years now.
and how old is
Um,
your child?
he's 3.
3. Well, that explains a few things too. I remember those days very well.
Now, as an entrepreneur, right, and a wellness expert, how do you market your services and reach women specifically who need your guidance? And then, what strategies have been most effective for you in building your client base?
That's something I'm always working on. And it has to evolve, as the environment that I'm marketing evolves itself. So you and I were talking before the recording that, during the pandemic, I was just I was busy girl, you know? People were really hungry for help, for answers, for ways to stay healthy throughout this. And they were feeling very isolated. You know, it was good to connect with somebody elsewhere, somebody new, and have be able to talk through some of what's going on. As the pandemic started to dissipate, thank the Lord, you know, things started to slow down for me. But that was great because I had the book that was just coming out and I was out, you know, touring for the book and everything. So now I'm trying to work more with, I actually partner with several different doctors in the Bay Area, but I've started to integrate with online doctor services for women in particular. In fact, I just started to an affiliation with Joy Wellness, JOI. Um, and you know, if your listeners want to reach out to me about you know what that looks like, but it's time for women to start getting support as they're making this transition in their lives. And, you know, their average OBGYN is just not doing it for them. So I feel like that's really the wave of the future is to partner with other practitioners. You know, doctors don't have time to see if you did your morning meditation or to see if you did your workouts this week, right? But I do. That's my job. So I find that, you know, having that relationship is really, really critical. And I also, you know, I get referrals obviously from other women that I've worked with, but you know, from massage therapists, acupuncturists, you know, chiropractors, all of these people, um, you know, they women show up in their offices and go, oh God, the office feels awful. And then he's like, I know who you need to call, you know. So yeah, that's sort of where I'm at right now.
Okay, okay, and we'll help you. We'll help you with that.
I
Um,
love it.
we'll
I
help
need
you
all
with
the
that.
help you can give me.
But I do like that concept of I guess for lack of a better word, community, like a community of practitioners, all there to help you through each phase or issue that you come up on in life. I love that.
Yeah, I like to tell women to get a good team. You know, like team you. Who is on your team that's helping you get to where you want to go?
Because before, my thought my team was my hairdresser and my nail tech. Like that was the only team that I had, right?
They're important people. Let's not discount that.
But now I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna need a therapist. I'm gonna need an OBGYN. I'm gonna need like a wellness coach. I'm gonna need like a life coach. And you know, so and I'm not saying like every day, but like so we could check in like once a month or maybe every couple of months, so that you know we could just make sure that we on the right track with literally everything because our bodies are changing, our lifestyle constantly changed, our loves and likes and dislikes.
Like business, you know, like we don't try to do everything ourselves, right? Like you're not going to do all your IT work, all your admin, all of the like no, you outsource the stuff that you don't have time to do or you're not very good at, right? Because there's other people who can do it much more efficiently. Well, your health should be the same way, you know. You don't have to do all the research yourself. Let people like myself help you, you know, fill in these gaps, connect the dots for you, give you a plan,
Yes,
you
and
know.
I love to work with people and across the board who like to keep researching their field so that like when new things come out, like they're on top of like the new things that come out, right? And having the critique too, not like they are adopting everything that comes out, but like they know like okay, well we could try this or something just came out and it's really good or it's really harmful. Like the first podcast I had you know, we talk about having a glass of wine, and Dr. Corona was like, actually, a glass of wine every day is not good. Like reports say it's associated with cancer, and I'm like, what? We
I'm a
can't
little
even
bit in
have
denial
wine.
about that one myself, but yes, it's true. It's true. And, you know, again, you can't argue the facts, you know, like, and you know, the funny thing about that is I never used to be much of a drinker, like at all
Right,
until, well, I live in the United States. So the 2016 election got me going. And then the 2020 coronavirus, then I was stuck at home with three kids. Oh, that'll
yeah,
get you going too.
yeah,
And, you know, it's like now it's like, okay, I need to start throttling this back. And I'm a health coach, you know, I'm on hormone replacement. Like I know all the things I shouldn't be doing.
right, right,
And, you know, so like we started this conversation, I'm a real person. I
yes,
have real problems.
yes,
I have real challenges, you know, and I work with other coaches. I work with other doctors, like I'm not trying to self-diagnose anything, right?
Right.
And I think that, it's like we were just saying, like it's important to have your team of people who inform you, who keep you on your toes, who help you make adjustments, like we're not going to do the same thing 10 years from now we're doing today. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Well, that leads really nicely into my next question about using your like personal story. Like, how do you use your personal story to engage and educate your clients? And what are some of the key lessons, I guess, you share with them to inspire positive change?
I tell my story a lot. I tell different versions of the story, and I mean, it's the same story, but there's all these different stories within the story, right? And, you know, I've always been a people person. Like, you get me talking to somebody, I can go all day. I enjoy hearing. I think the important thing about being a good coach, regardless of what you're coaching on, is to listen to the other person, is to listen to your client or your patient. And then I can find in my head, okay, what are the pieces of my story that are going to resonate with this person? And, I've had some serious lows and I've come very far and I hope to continue to go further. And so telling, like, look, I started off here and look where I am today, and it's not just like, it didn't just happen. I'm not just lucky, I, I put in the work. I made the changes. And it's not easy, but that doesn't mean you should give up. And giving those people the support that they need to talk through it when it's hard, it's really important.
Yeah, yeah. I do really like when a professional, no matter what area of expertise, is able to relate to the things that I'm going through, whether it be health or business or just life in general, because then it makes you value their input so much more. Because okay, you've been there, you've done that, you've gone through it, and you made the changes, and it's kind of encouraging that like okay, well they did it, and no, they're prospering in whatever area. So that means I could also do it, and I could also achieve these same results if, like you say, you put in the work.
Yeah, and that's why I specialize in what I do at this point, because yes, there's a lot of male doctors and young men out there who understand the way these things work, but it's a little bit different message. I'm not discrediting them, but it doesn't land very well for me. Like it's just kind of like, I don't really want to hear what you have to say about this because there's no way you know what I'm dealing with, whether they know it in the books or not, Um, I think it's really important. I value the information, the research that's coming from like those women I listed out earlier, and many, many more. Dr. Minnie Pels. I mean, I could go on all day on these women that I follow. You know why I value that? Because they're going through it with me. Or they've been through it, and it's a totally different conversation. When you feel what it's like to wake up at 3 in the morning in a puddle, that there's no part of the bed that you can get to that's dry, and you wake up the next morning, you can't think straight, you have no libido left, you're snapping at everybody in your family all day long, you're mad at yourself because you can't accomplish simple work tasks. There's no way these guys know what that feels like. I'm sorry, and it's important. It's important to me with the people that I work with to know, like, oh yeah, they get it. They totally get it.
Yeah, yeah. So, a little side note, secret. It's not really a secret. So, I usually would go for male fitness instructors, mainly because
Oh,
I
I have
know
a male
that
trainer too, just so you know.
I
I
know
do too.
that female fitness instructors kick your butt because they're like, no, you can do this. Don't just because you're a woman don't mean no. You could. I
Right,
know you could
right,
do this,
right. No,
right?
that's true. That's absolutely true. And actually, I work with a male trainer.
Right.
I never had my own personal trainer. I was one for a lot of years. But my husband started working with this guy a couple years ago, and he's so good. And I
Right.
really needed somebody to really push myself, again, working on healthy bones, working on building muscle tone. And it's like, oh yeah, no, this is the way to go. Um, so yeah, I mean, again, I'm not discrediting men in any part of this field. I'm just saying,
No,
when
no.
you're talking about like, resonating with somebody, it's so much easier for me to connect with women because I know their story. I've lived their
Yes.
story.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, for sure, I'm with you.
Yeah. But that's also another reason why, and I don't want any of the male guests that I've reached out to prior to feel offended because I feel like I offend. But it's like I really just want to talk to women right now. Because yeah, because and the other thing too is that the behind the scenes story or the journey that kind of gets you into health and wellness, especially serving mainly women, right? It's always such a powerful one. It's always a life changing one. It's also what puts the passion behind the business that you. So not just like this is your job title and this is where you're going. You know, you've been through it, you experienced it, and now you have like this kind of passion to create change in somebody else's life, right?
There's nothing wrong with specializing. I mean, I was at a wonderful conference this last weekend, and I listened to one of the better speakers I listened to, Dr. Gapin out of Florida, and he focuses mostly on men's health. Right? He's helping men to optimize their hormones to feel their best. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I love that. I love that. Exactly.
He's helping other people. As is a simple equation, and he's very passionate about it. So I think that, yeah, I think it's great to find your tribe.
The more specialized you are in a particular field, I love it. Like if um only you, I mean, like we go to the what's it, optometrist for your eyes, right? We don't go to the GP for your eyes. I mean, they could take a look, but they're not, they can't do anything specific. So to me, the more specialized you are in a particular area, especially when it comes to male and female, because we go through different things and the makeup and that kind of thing, right? The better. That's what I think.
Yeah, I really, going back to the business side of this equation, I really fought this idea of niching in forever. Right? I like working with men. Actually, I really love it because they're super fun, and I can kind of poke them a little harder. We have a good time. But so I was like, I can help everybody. No. You know what? Yes, I can help everybody, but marketing to everybody means you're marketing to nobody. So I really, really needed to just finally learn my lesson. Okay, this isn't working, trying to talk to everybody. Um, so I've just decided this last bit. It's like I've got to niche down, and it's like who can I speak the most clearly to? Me. I can speak to me. I know what I want to hear. So that makes my marketing message pretty clear, you know?
Yes, yes. Same here. It yeah, it's hard because like, oh my gosh, I feel like I could be losing out, if I niche down. But like I have been finding so much passion and purpose with, niching down into women's health and wellness that it really does drive me every day. And yes, I still do work for clients outside of my niche, but it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel the same once you found like your, like you say, your tribe and like your area of service. Like, yeah, and then you hone in on that, right? And then you kind of figure out, for me, like what the pain points are for my clients, and then try to provide and offer services that can better service them as well. Um, and my main thing really is just connecting, like building that bridge between the women who need the help and the professionals who provide the service. That's it. And I want to make the bridge for like the professionals who are offering like that specialized and best service out there. Um, because yeah, we deserve it though. We don't need the DGP. We need like the specialists in like specific areas to deal with certain things, um, especially when it comes to the big things like menopause. And then another topic that's very dear to my heart is postpartum health, which I do have a question here about that, right? Because many women face health challenges after pregnancy, I had a big health challenge where I developed stones, um, kidney stones, gallstones from apparently my muscles relaxed when I was pregnant, and I was eating up all the things that I like to eat up with my pregnancy cravings, and then so these stones developed, but then it only started to affect me last year. I was just like in immense pain, right? But I felt not felt this was a fact. All of the care after giving birth was just null and void, except for that 6 week checkup, when
Right.
they check to see if everything is healing okay or
Put back
whatever.
together again. Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing with nutrition, there's nothing with exercise,
Yeah.
there's
But
nothing
the
with
reality is, let's be honest, it's the same way our whole lives, right? I went in for
that's
my
true.
physical last January. They didn't ask me how I eat. They don't
Right,
ask me how I'm sleeping.
right,
They don't ask these questions, you know.
right.
Did you end up keeping your gallbladder, or what happened?
No, it's out.
No, they
It's
took it.
gone.
Now
Yeah.
let me ask you a question. Did they tell you when they took your gallbladder out that you need to be on digestive enzymes with ox bile for the rest of your life?
No. Mm-mm.
Are you on those?
Nope. They just told me I could eat
Okay.
normal.
Well, we need to talk offline afterwards because I'm going to send you a script from Full Script to get you started on some, because here's, people don't understand, we need our gallbladder. Okay. What does our
Right.
gallbladder do? It helps to sequester the bile so that we can then use said bile to emulsify fats and fat soluble things, right? So we need to
Hmm.
be able to assimilate our minerals and our fat soluble vitamins. And if we can't do that because we don't have enough bile, then you're going to end up with nutrient deficiencies long term. You're going
Right.
to end up with osteoporosis. You're going to end
Right.
up with mental health challenges because you're not getting what you need to make neurotransmitters. Okay.
Right.
There's a whole cascade of events that can happen if we're not assimilating our nutrients well.
Hmm.
So I highly recommend that you get onto a comprehensive digestive enzyme supplement that does contain some ox bile in there.
Okay. Okay. Well, yes, we'll talk offline about that. But
But
yes,
so,
from
like,
what
this
I
is the
was
stuff,
told,
like,
that
yeah.
I could just go back eating what I used to eat. Um,
How about why did you get the gallbladder stones to begin with? How's that
yeah,
for a question? Right?
yeah. But that, well, from what was explained to me, this is what happened when I was pregnant, right? So it was almost like a side effect or like something that just resulted, happened because I was pregnant, because the muscles relaxed and then these stones formed because of what I was eating, and
Right. So the
then
bile duct was somehow clogged, which means that it was not able to flow very well. And it probably was already starting before you got pregnant, would be my guess. And then it was exacerbated by that symptom, by that situation. So yeah, I work with a lot of people who have been in the same situation. They had their gallbladder yarded years ago. They have all kinds of other issues going on, and it's like, oh yeah, you're not assimilating your nutrients from your food. That's a problem.
right. And then for me, not saying that I want to blame anybody, but like the fact that there isn't anything after giving birth, like that kind of helps you do like a whole kind of, I guess, physical or check or anything, besides just peering down there and saying, okay, looks like you're healed up, good to go. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, I think hey, if you can figure out a way to change that situation, I think that's great. Let's encourage it for sure, because it does set you up for success either in your next child birth or success in going into perimenopause. Um, these things build upon each other. The health of your hormones, from age 12 all the way through menopause. It's all related. Um, it's yeah. No, I mean, like I was put on the birth control pill when I was 16 because, I'm old enough to where, our parents were just more worried about us getting
Getting
pregnant than
pregnant
anything else,
early.
right? So
Yeah.
it's age 16. And so until I was 32 years old.
Right. Right.
And I decided to try to conceive my daughter. And it took me a year to get a period back.
Oh, wow.
A year. I had no idea what the birth control pill was actually doing to me. I was not
Mm-hmm.
educated on the fact that it was giving me sub, like super, super,
Fake
super
periods
low doses of hormones
and
so that
fake
it would.
periods.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the other thing. I never realized I probably would have had amenorrhea because I was so
Mm,
thin. Right.
right,
But because I was on the pill, I never lost my period.
right.
Right. So there's a whole slew of issues that were related to being on that for so long,
Yeah.
but I just didn't know. I didn't
And
know. I
and then
wasn't
as
well educated.
on a side note too, I was speaking to another podcast guest, and she was talking about that same thing, like you being on a pill and like the side effects of that, and like supplements and so on that she has for teen girls, to help put things back in their body.
Yeah, it does. It causes micronutrient deficiencies and all kinds of other issues. And then, and worse than that, then you get to perimenopause, you start having symptoms. The doctor wants you to put you back on a birth control pill.
They
I'm
do?
like, oh, just wait, girl. I'm just telling you, that is the standard of care. They put women on a birth control pill. I went into a new OBGYN 2 years ago. Now, keep in mind, I have osteoporosis. My my GP has me on at the time just estradiol and progesterone replacement, right?
Right.
She said to me that she wanted to put me on the birth control pill to help get rid of my perimenopause symptoms. And I'm like, why would I do that?
Right.
Why would I do that? Then she told me that if I went on an antidepressant, it would help get rid of my hot flashes.
So birth control and antidepressants.
I'm not a depressive person, as you probably guessed from the last hour. So I walked out of that office really, really upset. And I know this stuff. And I felt gaslighted in there, you know? It was really frustrating. And it is the same story I've heard from many, many, many women.
Oh, that's actually
Yeah.
really upsetting to hear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
On a more
It's
positive
out
note,
there. On a
on
positive note, this has been great.
no, you're launching your own podcast.
Oh, I am. And I can't wait to have you as a guest, please.
Oh, I'm so ready.
No pressure.
So ready.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so you're gonna focus on empowering individuals to make impactful health choices. So yes, I'm ready whenever you are. What can listeners expect from your podcast?
So the Own Your Wellness podcast will be launching this January. I have several episodes already recorded, so I can tell you already. Um, there'll be some solo episodes where I kind of explain some little nuggets to you. Of course, I will be speaking to industry experts like yourself to bring some more information. But I think what I'm most excited about that will hopefully make this podcast shine in a very clouded field is I'm going to be talking to real clients of mine. Like it's one thing to listen to all this stuff, but like, how does it really affect people in the real world making these changes in their lives? And in fact, I'm interviewing one of my favorite clients next week. She's such a trip. Um, and it's like I think people like I want to listen to podcasts and go, hey, what is that 47-year-old woman doing who's on HRT? What is that working like for her? You know? So I'm going to talk to all different types of my clients and I think that people will really enjoy that.
I think so too. I think so too. I think that'll be great. Um, what are your goals or any future plans? So you got your book, you got the podcast. Any future plans? Anything else that you have in your pipeline that you want to share with us before you go?
That's a lot of things in my pipeline already. The book launched this last March, and that is still super fun. And I'm learning it's kind of like a marathon, not a sprint, with the book launch. So I'm still working on getting it in the right hands and having a lot of fun with that. Like I said, the podcast, and honestly, I just working really hard to niche down with the people that I'm working with and with my marketing strategies. And I could certainly use your help there. And in fact, I'm actually right now working on some really high end packages for people who have decided that they just really need me to hold their hands all the way through this. So instead of working together for 3 or 4 months, we're talking about working together for a year. And what does that commitment look like? And how can I be there? How can I be of service for you on those hard days? How can I hold your hand to get to the finish line, whatever that finish line is for you? And I think that, yeah, I mean, I do work with a lot of clients, just kind of on a weekly basis, which I love. Um, and I'm also working on some group coaching. Probably in the next couple months that'll be launching. We'll just, pick a topic and we'll talk once or twice a month. And see how are things working in the real world? What needs help? What needs judging?
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. That sounds like a lot of things, but we'll
Sounds like I
yeah.
need an assistant, is what it
Yeah.
sounds like now that I'm saying it all out loud. Oof.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Dee Dee. Your insights into wellness and your personal journey has definitely been really insightful. And I hope that our listeners are able to, just gather and action some valuable insights that we spoke about today. And you did mention earlier up, because I usually ask that at the end, like if there's anything that, women could do today to start having, living a healthier life. And you did say, like, well, eating a lot more protein is what I realize a lot of women don't do, especially myself. Like apparently our protein intake is poor, very very poor. Because for me, when it comes to protein, I think about most protein at dinner time, and I don't know if that's something that's been perpetuated in media.
Yeah, in fact, I go into detail in the book about this, how to structure your day when it comes to protein. And actually, you want to start your day with protein.
I'm gonna start.
Start your day. If you want to get your cortisol going a little bit in the morning, you want to build up your energy, have your first meal be high in protein. And even if you follow a vegetarian diet, I mean, obviously a lot of people do this for, religious reasons or spiritual reasons. That's fine. You just need to make sure that the highest quality protein that you can take in, you're having first thing in the morning. And then start dripping it throughout the day. And what I also tell my clients is eat the protein first. I stole this from JJ Virgin. She preaches this all the time. Eat the protein first, then your veggies. And it usually crowds out all the junk. You don't have room for the potatoes and the rice and all these other things
Because the protein already fills you up.
because you're so full. Protein and then your veggies.
Okay, okay. Well, I guess that's a good, because we accustom, especially here in the Caribbean, we would do, we have tea. Tea is a big thing, and then like eggs, maybe like eggs and
Love it. Love it.
um
That's perfect.
and that's it. But it's never really like a heavy meal. You know what I mean? It's just something that gets you through the lunch at
Yeah, and
12.
everybody's different. As I've gotten older, now my hormones have, I don't, really cycle anymore. So I can get away with skipping breakfast. You know, I didn't used to be able to get away with that when I was, premenopausal. So, just different stages, different choices.
Oh, that's true. Well, thank you so much, Edie. I feel like we need a part two now, because I feel like no, we gotta go into like nutrition, and then we gotta go into like exercising and things that we could
We'll
do. And
save
I
it
know,
for the next conversation. We'll
yes,
save it for the next.
yes.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you for joining us on another Wellness and Growth Journeys podcast. Now, if you're inspired to elevate your health and wellness business, the Wellness Growth Agency is here to guide you. We specialize in tailored digital marketing strategies to enhance your client engagement, grow your practice, and improve overall satisfaction. Let's unlock the potential of your business together. Visit us at wellnessgrowthagency.com to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more insightful episodes. Until next time, keep thriving, and remember, wellness is a journey. Growth is the destination.